quite a difficult thing when you're first-generation Brit, because you really don't fit in anywhere particularly. I'm a Welshman, obviously born and bred in Cardiff, but of Jamaican parents. So you first of all have the Jamaican culture at home, and then you go to school, you have Welsh friends. Sometimes it can be a little bit complicated. But I really do see myself as a Brit, if I was totally honest. I have a UK passport and I'm very proud of holding that. It's the time of my life where it's time to reflect and you really look back on your whole life, on what you've done, what you've achieved, and I really wouldn't mind knowing exactly where I came from. Where did I get the genetics to enable me to run fast? Where do I get my aggression that I use to be a hurdler? Where does that come from? Where do I get my looks from? Where do I get my hands from? Everything that I do, I really want to know now where exactly that comes from. And if I can see pictures or find heritage somewhere down the line where I can go, that's exactly where that's come from, then the journey will be all worthwhile to me.
Colin Jackson, one of Britain's most successful athletes, was born in Cardiff in 1967. His grandfather, D. Dunkley, was the first member of his family to emigrate from Jamaica in 1955. By the following year, over 40,000 Caribbean workers had arrived in Britain. Like many immigrants, Dee found work in the coal and steel industries. He settled in Cardiff with his children, including Colin's mother, Angela. And in 1965, Angela married Colin's father, Ozzie Jackson. Colin's visiting his parents in Cardiff to begin research into his family history.
So, I know you lot very well. I need to know one stage back. So, what do you know about your mother, first of all?
As youngsters, you see, we didn't ask a lot of questions. You know what I mean? That's my grandmother, that's my dad, that's my mom. But I knew more about my mom's side than I did at my dad's side, you know. I know she was born in Manchester.
That's Manchester, Jamaica?
Manchester, Jamaica.
Okay.
A little place called Mile Gully. Yeah. And she had, I think it's 12 or 13 siblings. She had a business interest, you know. She had a little shop here, she had a little milk shop there. And last I knew that she had a restaurant in Spanish Town Road.
So, ma'am, what information can you give me about your mum?
Well, my mum was born in Panama because my grandfather and my grandmother went to Panama, and she was born there. Unfortunately, I didn't even ask my mother what my grandmother's name is. So that's, you know, hopefully, you know, even a small thing like that, if it's found out, I would love to know.
Most of Colin's immediate family live in Cardiff. His sister Suzanne and cousin Rosemary are also keen to know about their heritage.
Well, you know I'm going to go on this journey to try and find out the background of our family. So how about going back to slavery? Wouldn't that make you feel?
No, I'd be very interested. That's the part that I would be most interested in.
The slavery, to see what?
To see if how connected the family was. Well, not even connected. How much that played a part in our heritage
and colouring.
Well, if we're all a mix, 10% could be white, 15% could be
Or what's
African.
The largest percentage?
Yeah, what do you think the largest percentage would be?
I bet we'll be shocked. I think it probably would be European.
Yes.
European! You go for European? Okay, I'll let you into a secret. What I am going to do is a DNA test. And with a DNA test...
does that tell you?
When they do the DNA test, it does a complete chain. And you can see from this DNA test which percentage will be... So
they can do that.
They can do that. We could be Chinese, we could be Indian, we could be anything. We have no idea, do we? Because we're such a mix. That's it. That's that little scrape like a toothbrush.
It's attractive.
That's it. That's all it is.
And that's it.
Positive.
Be a boy.
Well, it's going to take about 10 days for these results, and I have no idea what I'm going to get back. So I'm slightly nervous, but I'm quite excited as well. So I suppose my first steps are going to be off to Jamaica, where both my parents were born.
Jamaica is the largest English-speaking Caribbean island. Its main port and capital is Kingston. The island has been an important part of trade in the region since its discovery by Christopher Columbus in 1494. This is Colin's first visit in 8 years.
It was pretty special touching down and seeing the sea, and it was just great. Really nice to be back. I'm really looking forward as well to collecting these DNA results because it's the start, you know, it's a real start where I'm getting more facts in my hand, and I'll have some realism, something I had no idea about previously, and be the first real solid bit of evidence to go and work with.
Colin has come to the University of the West Indies to collect his DNA results, which have been forwarded from a genetics lab in the United States.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Colin Jackson.
Hi, Colin.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Well, I've had some DNA tests done in England. I'm hoping that they've arrived here.
Yes, they have arrived. The results are right there, so we can go ahead and take a look.
And have a look?
Yep, sorry.
Okay, can you?
All right.
Some surprising results, actually, if I was totally honest. 55% sub-Saharan African, 38% European, 7% Native American. But I can't believe I'm only, to be honest, only 55% sub-Saharan and 38% European. That's quite a bit of European blood in me, to be honest. But yeah, but only 55%. That surprised me. And the Native American bit, 7%, well, I have no idea where that comes from, but it's in there, right? So in Jamaica, as the island itself, would my kind of results here, would that be normal? Would you think, oh yeah, this guy could be from Jamaica?
I think that's sort of typical because based on what happened with the slave trade with Africans coming over, Europeans would have figured into it because with the Spaniards coming, the English, the Native American, of course, that came from way back, 10,000 years ago, when they came into the New World through North America. They would have then moved into Central and then South America. And then from there, they would have come into the Caribbean.
So 7% Native American, which I still can't believe. Isn't that still quite a lot to come through? If it's so long ago that they were kind of around, or would you think that's fine?
I think that's fine. I mean, they're still our basic ancestors. That was part of the original gene pool.
It's probable that Colin's Native American DNA comes from Jamaica's original inhabitants, the Taínos, Amerindians descended from South and Central American tribes. The Taínos were enslaved by the Spanish, who colonized Jamaica at the beginning of the 16th century. Like many Jamaicans, Colin knows little about the island's early history, so he's come to the Taíno Museum to learn more about his newfound ancestors.
Look, it says here, the original Jamaicans, today featured on the national coat of arms, were long assumed to be the Arawaks, which is exactly what I thought I was kind of. However, it's now understood that, in fact, they were Taínos. So, And you've got the similarities, first of all, it says down here about the Arawaks, Taínos. Well, the Arawaks and the Taínos both originated from South America. They had similar physical attributes. Mongoloid features, stocky, medium height, with black, coarse, in inverted commas, hair, and light brown complexion. And their stable food was cassava. There's lots of things that relate to me. The Mongoloid features, for one. I always wondered where I got these eyes from. Now they possibly could have come from there, from my Native American look. And I love cassava. So that obviously still flows with me. Nice little Bambi now and again is not bad with some fried fish. I knew I'd find something new about myself. Yeah.
To find out more, Colin has come to see Roderick Ebank, the Director of Archaeology for the Jamaica Institute and an expert on island history.
I hope you can explain some things on this for me.
Okay, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Alrighty. Let's go into the shade now.
All right, thank you. Have a look at these results and tell me if you think anything special about those.
Alrighty. Sub-Saharan African, no problem. 38 European, no... Oops! 7% Native American. Very, very interesting. The Taino ancestry, which would be the Jamaican Native American, Amerindian, would have been carried forward through the Maroon community. When the original Africans came to Jamaica under the Spaniards, they were only male Africans. They got together with Amerindian women, Taino women, and they created the first Maroon settlements and community.
So Colin's Native American DNA was probably passed down through the Maroon community. It was the Spanish who named the Maroons, or Marron, which means runaways. When the British captured Jamaica in 1655 and began the importation of almost 1 million Africans, some of these slaves also escaped and joined the Maroons in the mountains.
Well, the Maroon people, instead of working on the plantations, they just fled up into the mountains and spent a little bit of time on the coast. So I'm coming up towards the east side of Jamaica, the northeast side corner, where they had quite a stronghold here.
The Maroon settlement of Moortown was established in 1739. The current Maroon leader is Colonel Starling.
Yes.
How are you?
All right, man.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I've made it all the way to Moortown.
Well, let me say Akawaba.
Thank you indeed. I guess that means welcome.
And then I should say Akawaba Bakariba. Welcome to Moortown. No.
So what would the language be in those days?
The language was predominantly the Cromanti language. And the Cromanti language, they got to explain this, it's a mixture of different African language because the Maroon community was made up of people from different tribal backgrounds. The truth is, though, some of these very same people were at odds with each other when they were in Africa. Right. But once they come here, they had one common enemy, and that was the plantation owners. So they unite around that one common enemy, and they come to live together, and they fought together to get rid of the oppression that was on them.
So would you think the Maroon people themselves were quite fiery?
They are more than fiery at times, and they had to be fiery, because the fact is that if they were not brave and were not courageous and strong enough and have that kind of fire in their guts, there's no way they could have managed to defeat the most powerful army on the face of the earth at that point in time. Think that small bands of fighters were going out there to fight against the British Empire, as it were, and end up being successful. They had to be fiery.
Under leaders like Nani and Kojo, the Maroons waged a guerrilla war. Bloody battles during the First Maroon War of 1730 forced the British to negotiate for peace. A treaty was signed in 1739, which granted the Maroons their full freedom. This was 100 years before the end of slavery in Jamaica.
The fireness the Maroons had from their fight first of all with the Spaniards and then with the English, I really think I've got that in me now, because When I lined up to many occasions to compete for Great Britain, it took a lot of heart and soul and spirit to get out there and really be at war with the rest of my competitors. So I feel really proud that I'm still linked genetically to the first settlers of Jamaica.
Colin wants to research the rest of his genetic makeup. So he begins with the largest percentage on the DNA report.
I've got 55% of my DNA of me is African, as we know, from Sub-Saharan Africa. So I'm presuming, just because my father's darker than my mother, that side of the family, the Wilson side and the Jackson side, is where the darker part of me comes from. So I've got a copy of my dad's birth certificate, but his dad's name's missing, so I can't really look down that initial Jackson route. But his mum's name's on here, Mary Wilson. And my dad actually told me that she came from Mile Gully. So that's the way I'm going to go, and I'm off there now to hunt through the Wilsons and see if I can find up any information from them.
Colin never met his grandmother Marie. He's hoping that her relatives, the Wilsons, who still live in Mile Gully, can help him trace his sub-Saharan family history. He's never met any of the Jamaican Wilsons before.
How you doing? Colin, nice to meet you.
Colin, at least I meet you in person, Colin Jackson.
Nice to meet you, nice to meet you.
Can I give you a little peck?
Of course you can.
Oh, look at Colin, I'd love to see you, man. Oh, my God.
Very nice indeed, very nice indeed.
Oh, my God. That's Mr. Reed, you know, my husband.
Okay, you put on weight, man. I never met this person.
I followed your career with Jarrett, you know, from long time. I didn't know you were related.
There you go.
I'm Winston Wilson.
Nice to meet you, Winston.
Speedy.
Speedy! Speedy, so that's where I must get it from, right? So for me now, I would like to know what Marie's grandparents would have been like. Well, yeah, my father's grandparents. So it'd be like Speedy's grandfather and grandmother.
Jacob Wilson.
Yeah?
Jacob.
Jacob Wilson.
Yeah, he's our grandfather.
He was
a policeman in the area.
In the area. His wife was very tall, and a year after Jacob died, she died. Heartbroken. She died. I mean,
Do you know what her name was?
Eugenia.
Eugenia.
Apparently a very nice lady as well.
Yeah. With Jacob Wilson, is there any areas where you think it'd be worth me visiting that will link up with him?
Jacob lived in Greenmount. That was my grandfather.
My grandfather is gone.
That's my grandfather. He lived around Greenmount.
That is where Adam Wilson buried.
And who was Adam Wilson?
That was your great.
So was he Jacob's dad?
That was Jacob's dad.
Jacob's dad.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, that's going back some.
Getting to the point?
Yeah, that's going back some.
Colin's cousin Justin is taking him to visit the place where Jacob Wilson lived and where his grandmother Marie was born.
So what are these now? Where are we?
Yes, we are in the Wilson burial ground.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And these are...
Jacob and Adam Wilson.
So under here is my great-grandfather, Jacob Wilson, and my great-great-grandfather, Adam Wilson.
Yes, that's right. That's correct.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's unfortunately no dates on the actual, graves themselves. I'm now in my mind trying to place them in history. Jacob was born in about 1870-ish, around there. That means Adam would have been born around 1830-ish. So, his father, definitely Adam's father, would have been definitely, undoubtedly a slave and born a slave. And for me, it's, wow. It's just incredible to know that much already.
Colin has traced the Wilsons back 3 generations. If he can find records for Jacob and Adam, he may be able to go back further to prove his link to slavery and his sub-Saharan African DNA. He asks Cynthia Rosa, a genealogist at Jamaica's Island Records Office, to help him.
Well, Cynthia, already been and met some of my family in Malgundy there, which is very exciting for me.
I bet it was.
Yeah, I was really pleased to meet them. And they suggested I should come here to get more information.
Right. Now, this is oral information.
This is all
so
oral.
this is what someone is telling you.
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
want to
I've
make
got
sure
nothing-
that what they told you is
It's
right.
kind of right.
Okay. So that's where I came in. And when
Right.
I started doing the research, of course, you would go through the birth, death, and marriage records here. So I was able to find your... There he is, Jacob and Eugenia, their marriage. And they were actually married in 1892. She was a maiden, she wasn't married. He was a planter. And then he gives the father's name, which is Adam Wilson, which he said was your great-great-grandfather. That's what they told you. So now that's confirmed.
So that is confirmed.
Let's go. Just see their signature, so they were actually able to write, because if they weren't, you would see an X, their mark. So now this is telling you that they were literate.
Right.
That, you know, they did know how to read and write.
So now we've got Jacob's father, is there any way I can ask you to be a little bit cheeky? And hoping, really, that you can go a little bit further back again for me.
Well, I isolated Adam. I figured we'd work with Adam Wilson. And I searched in the index and everything looking for him. I was able to find an Adam Wilson, and his age, he was at Green Mount, and he was probably at this Adam's father, which would have been Jacob's grandfather. And that's in these books. Before we go in there, I'm going to ask you to put the gloves on.
Okay.
Because these are fragile. And these are original books. These are absolutely... And what we have here is what we call the parish registers, the burials in the parish of Manchester. And I marked it so we can get right to it. And here we've got, it says, in the parish of Manchester, in the county of Middlesex, in the year of our Lord, 1849. And I was able to find Adam Wilson, gardener. He was 55 years old when he died. Greenmount again.
Yes.
Greenmount. And this was the 10th of May. And he was buried at Greenmount.
So really, I'm really...
Greenmount is the
from
key.
there, right? It is really
Exactly.
the
That's
key.
where your roots are.
That's
Definitely where your roots are.
Greenmount.
So we're going to try to find his birth.
Right, okay.
Going back
Back
now.
again. So 55 at that.
17
takes us 17...
in the 1700s.
96,
yeah,
96?
somewhere around in there. 1796.
So actually, Adam Wilson, Jacob's grandfather, was actually born a slave.
Yes, 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 because emancipation in Jamaica was 1838. So he was born a slave. Okay?
Amazing.
All right, and I'm going to take you just one little step further.
You can go further again?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. Now, these are this is an awesome record because it has everything. It has slave marriages, and then it has the baptismal, and I just kept going page by page by page. And then when I got to this page, I was looking over here, 1817, baptisms at Friendship. And I'm going down this list, and all of a sudden, I see Adam Wilson. And I jumped, okay, from Adam Wilson, I'm reading down the list, and then read what that says.
These 9 persons belong to Greenmount Plantation, the property of Valentine, what's that say, Dwyer, Esquire, were baptized at...
Williamsfield.
Is that Williamsfield? Williamsfield on the 14th day of September in 1817. That is incredibly amazing.
See that? Yeah.
When you actually read that, you know, that your forefathers actually belonged to somebody, it's something that's factual. I can't hide from that fact. It's realism. We all know what happened during slavery. So I can't really comment too negatively on that because it spoils the whole emotion of the pleasurable side of it. And the pleasurable side of it for me is actually to find my forefathers. To go as far as we've gone is really, really special. So, yes, obviously, I hate the fact that they were slaves, but in the other side of it, it's great just to know that where they existed, really, and where everything truly began.
Colin has traced his father's line from his grandmother Marie Wilson, through Jacob and Adam, all the way back to his great-great-great-grandfather, Adam Wilson Sr., who was a slave. Colin's family history in Jamaica begins at Greenmount, the 400-acre property owned by Valentine Dwyer. The Dwyers were Irish. Local history states that Valentine's father led raiding parties into Africa to capture slaves and brought them back to toil on the Greenmount plantation.
Excuse me, is this the main plantation area for the Greenmount estate?
Yeah, you're now on the Greenmount estate.
This is it?
Yeah, main Greenmount estate.
Is it right if I come in and have a look?
Yeah, you can come around and have a look.
Thanks. Yeah. Have you lived in this area all your life?
Yeah, all my life.
You're born here?
You're born and grew here.
You might be able to help me then.
Yeah.
Thanks. Where would the slaves have lived?
You have a place down there that they call Nigger House.
Slave registers show that Valentine Dwyer had just 19 slaves. Like on most plantations, the slave quarters were hidden away, out of sight from the main house, at the top of the hill.
These are the old big house. Even right up here are part of the foundation this.
So this actually would be all part of the old house?
Yeah, this is part of the old house. So the old house cover all about round in those hillside come right round.
So all of this, what you could see from here, was all Dwyer land?
All Dwyer's land.
I think being here in Greenmount, really, the part of the DNA that no doubtedly comes from this area for me is definitely my sub-Saharan African. So I think predominantly my 55% comes from here.
Adam Wilson was born in 1794, so it's possible that he was captured in Africa and brought to Jamaica as a child. If so, he would have been one of the last slaves to arrive in Jamaica, as the abolition process began in 1807. It took 25 years and a slave uprising, led by Sam Sharp in 1832, to force the British government to grant freedom to slaves in the British West Indies. 200 years after the abolition of slavery, the only building left in Greenmount is Valentine Dwyer's family church, St. George's.
Well, I wasn't expecting this, that's for sure. This, I guess, at some stage was very grand. It's all so different now.
You know, the slaves actually weren't allowed to come into this church, so Adam would have to have stood outside and look through the windows. To look at this church now and to see that it's fallen down and in ruins, it's pretty good for me. It's really a sign of everything's fallen down, including slavery. For the whole story to be complete, I would love to know how Adam Wilson lived as a free man.
Adam Wilson became technically free in 1834, but an apprenticeship system ensured that he, like all ex-slaves, continued to work for his master for another 4 years. The British paid plantation owners £20 million compensation, but the slaves themselves received nothing. Some churches tried to redress the balance. They bought up land and divided it amongst freed slaves, enabling them to earn their own livelihood. 3 miles from Greenmount at the Moravian Church settlement in Maidstone, Colin is meeting local historian Hugh Nash.
This we are on, Maidstone, is one of the best laid out, best developed settlement. The church bought over 400 acres and settled about 96 ex-slaves and gave them time to pay and assisted them. We have a plan here which I can show you, this is a plan of the land settlement at Maidstone, Manchester. All 96 plots, here you have it. Look at this. Take up our position here. We would be somewhere right along here.
Right.
And this would have been the old great house.
So that's what would be behind us now?
That's right.
Well, whilst you're actually pointing that out, my eyes did drift slightly up towards another name there, which I do recognise.
You do?
One Adam Wilson.
But why do you pick that name out?
That's my relatives there.
Is that so?
Indeed.
That's interesting. So you might actually want to know the exact plot.
It would be very nice to see that, yeah.
Adam Wilson was amongst the first generation of freed slaves to own land. On his 5-acre plot, he cultivated coffee and bananas which he could sell on, enabling him to repay the church for his land and to lead a successful life as a free man.
Just an amazing feeling to know that this was the land that your forefathers, out of slavery, remember, first acquired. He had to work really hard to get this piece of land, and to actually be standing on it and looking around at the whole, acreage, because it says on the map 5 acres that he actually had, and it is very, very special. And to be honest, it's like a unique experience. There's nothing really can explain how you really feel inside. Truly, truly, truly fantastic.
Well, my mum asked me if I possibly could find out who her grandparents were. She'd be really happy with that. That would be what she'd be happy that I could come back with that information. Well, you know me, I'm a little bit greedier than that. I hope to go a little bit further than that. But to be honest, if I could find out who her grandparents were, that would be a job well done.
Colin knows that his maternal grandmother, Maria Roslyn Packer, was born in Panama in 1921. Her Panamanian birth certificate has been sent to Jamaica's record office to help Colin search for his mother's family history and his European DNA.
It says the names here, Richard Augustus Packer, which is the father, and also you have a Gladys Campbell. So, Campbell I know is a Scottish name. And that could be... Actually, I didn't realise she was named Maria Rosalind Packer Campbell either. So I have a choice, Packer or Campbell. I'm a Celt. And being a Celt, I'll go with my heart and I'll go with the Campbell. Let's try with the Campbell, the Gladys Campbell. So right now I'm looking at copies of birth certificates from Jamaica. And all I'm really looking for at the moment is just the surnames. Of Campbell. Okay, we've got a Gladys Campbell. Okay, what I have in front of me is the name of the mother, Albertina Wallace, and she's listed here as a domestic, so, you know, she was a home help, most probably a maid or something, because that was quite normal in those days. But there's actually a gap where the father would be. But there is something here which is quite interesting. It says D.M. Campbell, this person was present at birth. So, with that in mind, I would say he could possibly have been the dad, since Gladys has taken the name of Campbell. For me now, looking at that, I do believe that could be my European side, big time. Where it all really comes from Mr. Duncan M. Campbell.
Colin has found the names of his mother's grandparents, Richard Packer and Gladys Campbell. Now he wants to know more about the relationship between Gladys's parents, Duncan and Albertina.
I didn't sleep well at all, to be honest, last night. Numerous reasons being, I was going through my book, make sure I don't forget all the stuff, last night, and I was just reading all the information I gathered yesterday. And before I start, you know, casting dispersions on people's character, because you really don't know anything as yet, the Europeans, let's say it this way, the Europeans didn't have the best reputation in the island. using and kind of abusing their staff members. But before I start really cussing Duncan, I wasn't comfortable with Albertina, if I was totally honest. I really thought, what did this woman do? And it's really weird when you have no idea about this woman. I have no idea what she did, what her life was like, but I just got this vibe that I didn't actually trust her. And that's really disappointing, to pick up that, because you should be really excited and passionate about finding who your ancestors were. But I really looked at her and I really, in my heart of hearts, I really, which is awful, I know it sounded, but I cast, a shadow of uncertainty. What was her behaviour like towards people, Gerald, and certainly to what became the baby father?
Did she seduce him? That's the question. Did she, or was it the other way round? Until I found out more about what they were like, I can't really say. But I am desperate to find out.
Colin's come to the Gleaner newspaper archives to search for clues about the lives of his great-great-grandparents.
Well, I've found this article on Good Templars. The 19th annual session of the Grand Lodge of Jamaica was held.
The Good Templars were an all-white business and social brotherhood, similar to the Freemasons of today.
The following are elected and installed as officers: H.N. Thomas, Grand Chief Templar; brothers, W.H., Grand Councillors. A
brother, D.M. Campbell. He was a Grand Sentinel.
I think this is a good reason why he perhaps left his name off the birth certificate if he is the father, which I certainly believe that he is. And if he's involved in something like that, perhaps it's not something he's proud of. So I take it all back what I said about my young lady.
Colin checks whether other Gleaner articles can offer more insight into Duncan and Albertina's relationship.
I actually have found something. Her name's come up. Now, this is quite significant, ladies and gentlemen, because it's actually got the address that Gladys was born and Albertina's name. So this property here on 35 Fleet Street, which was technically owned by a certain Albertina Wallace, was for sale. Now, this is in 1908, and this means this property has been repossessed by the Building Society. Now, what's intriguing, we know that Albertina was only a domestic, so someone was paying for this. Well, I'm presuming it was Duncan, because he was a man of some kind of wealth and an establishment anyway, so it looked like he had a little bit of cash.
This is really interesting. Let me go back and see what else I can find about Duncan's life in Kingston.
At the end of the 19th century, Kingston was a vibrant cosmopolitan city. Duncan was part of the large Scottish community which paid for the construction of Kingston's only Presbyterian church, St Andrew's Scots Kirk. Colin's come here to meet historian Senator Anthony Johnson to try to understand Duncan's status within the community.
He seemed to be involved in many things that affected Kingston at the time. I mean, one of the articles here, he was voted chief librarian for the Young Men's Society there. Also, he was one of the spokespersons for the Jamaican Theological Society. So does that give you any hint of what type of man he was?
Well, obviously an educated man, and a man who loved learning. And I would have thought that he's a sort of man about whom you had to be careful in the use of language in his presence.
Right.
You know, that type of person. Yes.
Right. So do you think that it would have caused him problems, the fact that he wasn't married to Albertina, and the fact that obviously she was of black skin? Would that have caused him problems in those days?
No, it wouldn't have caused him any problem. Indeed, it was the custom and the habit. If you had a good-looking young helper at your home, you're a white man and you're in good health, it would be expected. That is to say, it would not be unusual if she bore you a child. That was the custom of the time.
So the fact that he has given this child his surname, does that say anything about the relationship that he had with Albertina?
Yes, it would suggest that the relationship with Albertina was a very pleasant one. That is, he wished to give her child a tremendous social advantage by having his name.
Well, it says on the copy of the birth certificate here, 35 Fleet Street, which is exactly where we are now. What would that area have been like all those years ago, back in 1888?
Well, that would have been an upper working class area. It was certainly not a depressed area,
right,
because it's very close to Hanover Street, which was the street of the really wealthy and powerful establishment. But it would have been an area in which, if you lived, it meant you were a person of substance.
Kingston Benefits Builders Society, back in July 1908, was offering this site up. So obviously meant it was repossessed. But a domestic owning a property like this, are you surprised about that?
I'm not surprised at all if she had a child by her master, and it was quite common for the masters to establish their ladies so that at least their children wouldn't suffer. In 1908, which is what you just told me,
1908.
is critical because that's the year after the great earthquake, which flattened the city. So the chances are her house perhaps was flattened, and she might not have had insurance, in which case it would mean that she would have fallen in arrears on the mortgage. It was a time of great distress in Jamaica.
With Kingston almost razed to the ground and the economy in tatters, many Jamaicans, both black and white, left the country. It's possible that Duncan Campbell and his daughter Gladys were among the emigrants, as there are no records of their deaths in Jamaica.
It was great to find Duncan and Albertina, but to think that they lost their home feels like a sad end to their story. I can't find anything else about Albertina or Gladys. The only other thing I know about Gladys is that she went to Panama and had my grandmother with a man called Richard Packer.
To find out more about the lives of his great-grandparents, Richard Packer and Gladys Campbell, Colin must go to Panama, the birthplace of his grandmother, Maria Roslin. This is the first time that Colin has been to Panama.
Well, now I've arrived in Panama City, and what I'm trying to do on this part of my trip is try and find out why people would have left Jamaica to come to Panama, because that's what my mum's grandparents did.
Around 40,000 Jamaicans made the week-long journey to Panama to find work on one of the world's biggest construction projects, the Panama Canal. The canal was begun by the French in 1883 and completed by the Americans in 1914. It was cut through the center of Panama to create a 50-mile-long waterway that linked the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. The canal was the biggest employer in Panama, so it's probable that Richard Packer worked there. Colin has come to the Canal Museum to see if he can find any record of his great-grandfather.
Well, I'm in the Panama Canal Museum here, and I found this little machine here that will actually tell me if people actually worked on the construction here of the canal. So I'm hoping that some of my family members that I know of, information is on this computer here. Yeah. Well, good news for me is that I've actually found my great-grandfather, Richard Packer.
Colin can find more details of Richard's employment at the Panama Canal Records Office.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, pretty good.
Excellent. Well, thank you for meeting me and helping me on my journey here to find some information about Richard. What have you got for me?
We got a card on him. He came here in 1905, February 16. I think this is the person that we are looking for. You can see his name here, Richard A. Packer. And
that's the office, yeah.
He attended to the Gargas Hospital for a checkup. And here it says $25 per month. That was his salary.
That was his salary.
Yeah, then I have a footnote right here.
Oh, you resigned?
Yes.
Because of illness in family. $25 a month.
The canal took over 30 years to complete. It was undoubtedly the engineering feat of its age, but at a price. The canal was built with the blood of Caribbean workers. Of the 27,000 labourers killed during construction, it's estimated that 80% of them were black.
It's really breathtaking when you see how the whole structure of this canal works. Absolutely stunning. I'm pretty proud to say that my forefathers had something to do with it.
When the canal was completed in 1914, Gladys and Richard stayed in Panama. Colin's grandmother, Maria Roslin, was born in 1921, but was taken back to Jamaica while still a child. Colin has come to Panama's Afro-Caribbean Museum to ask historian Alberto Barrows why Gladys and Maria Roslin moved back to Jamaica.
Yeah, same. Pleasure. Well, I know for a fact that my grandmother was taken back to Jamaica by her mother around schooling age. Was there any particular reason for that?
Well, I can think on two particular reasons. One, the educational standards in the Caribbean, and particularly in Jamaica, and even today, were very high then in comparison to Panama. And on the other hand, again, your grandparents and great-grandparents, they were black. They weren't allowed to go to public schools in Panama. I mean, and this situation went on until the 40s and the 50s.
My grandmother, as we know, went back to Jamaica at that time because my grandfather actually, my great-grandfather actually stayed in Panama. So that would cause a bit of problem. Can you imagine?
Yeah, we had a lot of situations like that, split families.
Richard Packer fell ill in Panama in 1946. His daughter, Maria Roslin, was still in Jamaica, where she'd married Dee Dunkley and had 3 children, Tony, Winsome, and Angela, Colin's mother. Roslin went to Panama to care for her ailing father. She expected her husband Dee and their children to join her, but they never did. Dee emigrated to Wales and took the children with him. It was 40 years before Maria Roslin was finally reunited with Colin's family. She was 62 years old. She died just 3 years later in Panama.
She left England and we all felt that you'd be seeing her again. But unfortunately, she got ill and she died in hospital. I think it was something that shocked us all. Because when you just found somebody, literally just found them, and you're just building a relationship with somebody that's been missing out your life for many, many years, and then it all gets taken away from you. So, you know, it was very upsetting for not just me, but for the whole family. 2 things, really, that are left me to do, I think, in Panama. A, perhaps meet somebody who knew her here in Panama and can, you know, give me a little bit more information about her here and what she was like living in Panama as a person. And perhaps the last one would be to finalise the story and see her graveside.
When Maria Roslin returned to Panama to care for her father in 1946, she lived very near her cousins, Carmen and Elsie, who had also made a life there. They and their descendants still live in Panama City, Colin's meeting them for the first time.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Pat Linton.
Hey.
And I'm your cousin.
Oh. This
Nice
is
to meet
very
you.
nice
Come on
surprise.
in. I'd like you to meet
other family members.
All righty.
Come this way. I'd like you to meet Miss Carmen Linton, your grandmother's first cousin.
Hi,
They look so much alike. My aunt Elsie Allen.
Elsie, nice to meet you.
My sister Anita.
Hi, Alita, nice to meet you.
And my uncle Roy Allen.
Roy, nice to meet you. Pleasure. Thank you.
Great to have you here.
Well, it's very exciting times for me, actually. Yeah. To meet a whole new series of family is just absolutely wonderful.
My sister has been working real hard just to try to gather family together because we are so dispersed all over the place.
Well, we knew we'd eventually run into each other because if you're doing the search and I'm doing the search over here and everyone is doing this, then we'll definitely touch base.
It has been an incredible journey for me. The situation I'm in now, where I'm trying to get information about Rosalind from you guys, because obviously I didn't know her at all in comparison to you guys here.
We had heard about when Rosalind went over and met all of you several years ago, and it must have been something beyond words.
She spoilt me rotten. She'd spend hours playing cards with me, and she'd teach me how to cook cornbread, and, you know, she did things that I would presume a nan would do.
When she came back, the girl was so happy. And I said, hi, Rosalind. You must have felt so happy to see your children. She said, Carmen, happy I am, indeed.
You know, one of the best things is for me to hear is that when she returned back to Panama after being in England, and you were saying that she was really happy. Because for us, we really wouldn't have known.
I love her. I don't want to think, really, that she could have been alive so much longer. I miss her very much.
On visiting Maria Rosalind's grave, Colin discovers a tragic twist to her story, which even her closest relatives knew nothing about. In Panama, rent has to be paid on burial plots. After the death of Maria Rosalind's second husband in 2001, the bills for her grave went unpaid. Unable to track down her cousins in Panama or her children in Britain, the municipal council exhumed Maria Rosalind's remains and placed them in a communal grave.
It's difficult, really. Yeah, it's really difficult to explain. Bit sad. Kind of says it all, don't it? Once I arrive back in the UK, it will be really a lot of time to reflect. To be totally honest, I'll try and avoid my family at home for at least a couple of hours, so I can really just adjust and really how to break the news to them of my findings. Because most of the things, to be honest, were good. But to break the news to my mum about how her mother body is and where it lies is going to be the most difficult thing for me to do. The way that I wanted to go was to do a DNA test, first of all.
Colin has gathered most of his immediate family to Cardiff to tell them about his discoveries in Jamaica and Panama. His cousins join Ozzie and Angela and her siblings Tony and Winsome to hear all about their family heritage.
Now, this gentleman, Adam Wilson,
He was actually born in 1794. Slavery was actually abolished in 1834. So this man was a slave.
Seen.
Okay? So I achieved what I want to achieve. Get into slavery, because that's where really the modern me really started in that way. So thank you very much for your history.
No problem.
And your guy was a
You're
good guy.
welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Not bad at all.
Certainly.
You could have done better yourself, Papa.
Couldn't do better myself. Could not do better myself.
Now, Mammy asked me if I can find out about her grandparents. She'd be just ecstatic. So, of course, on this birth certificate was your mother's name, which was Gladys McGowan Campbell.
Far up.
And her father was a man called Richard Augustus Packer.
Same.
Okay?
That's your great-grandfather. That's my grandfather.
Now, Gladys's father was a man called Duncan McGowan Campbell. Now, this Duncan McGowan Campbell was straight white Scotsman.
That's our great-grandfather.
Your great-grandfather was a white Scotsman. Okay. The whole journey for me was fantastic until the very, very, very last day. So I was really looking forward to going to see Mama's grave. When I actually arrived there, I was quite confused because I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see a cross, I couldn't see a headstone, I couldn't see absolutely anything. So I was really confused initially, because apparently when you die, you kind of pay rent on your land where you're buried initially. But when Cecil died, nobody kept paying the rent, yeah. So they just exhumed the body from out of that thing. So I asked him about whether you can resume the body, and no, because there's who is who. You don't know who is who there.
I think it's disgusting.
Oh, come on, Angela.
I think there's no respect.
This is Panama. We live in Britain. We live in a society where that doesn't happen.
We're still all humans.
Yeah.
You can't even take her from where she is now. And to put her somewhere else, that we can't fix it.
Exactly.
That to me.
That is even the worst.
Yes.
These things happen. South America, Central America, around those sides. You know, I'm not very surprised.
Well, even though it was a sad ending for us all personally to see what happened to, as far as our grandmother and usually your mother, the whole journey itself for me was still fascinating to do. I'm still very pleased that I can bring this all to everybody, and I hope you've enjoyed it too.
Sure.
I am very, very pleased.
Even being able to hear about our ancestral story and have the tears, the joy, hearing the pain, and all those different emotions.
It's incredible, huh?
Well done, Cole.
Yeah.
Well done, babes.
Pleasure.